with our hand. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Director.
Honorable Minister for Labor and Social Security, Honorable Pilar Buteresi, members of Parliament are present, the Permanent Secretary, Minister of Labor and Social Security, senior government officials, Director of the CSO, and also, Honorable Minister, to acknowledge my colleague Maria, who also did most of the work on behalf of the ILO. Let me start, Program Director, by mentioning that, Honorable Minister, the ILO does not actually direct the work. Everything that we do here is directed by the Decent Work Country Program team of Eswatini, where they give us the direction and issues that need to be addressed. So for today, again, in the same sense, it is actually great honor for us from the ILO to be part of you at this official launch of the Labor Force Survey. For us, we take this Labor Force Survey not just as a statistical exercise, but it is a pivotal step in understanding and enhancing the economic well-being of a nation. The Labor Force Survey launch is an important step towards addressing the employment challenge in the country. As we gather, we are reminded of the vital importance of accurate data and evidence-based policymaking in fostering sustainable economic growth and social development. The Labor Force Survey is a critical tool that provides comprehensive data on employment, unemployment, underemployment, labor market dynamics, and many other areas of the labor market. Such data is critical for informed policymaking, enabling governments and all of our stakeholders in the room to design targeted interventions that address specific needs of the workforce. Let me therefore begin by commenting and congratulating Eswatini for these significant accomplishments. Completing such a comprehensive survey is no small feat, and it reflects dedication and commitment of everyone involved, from the data collectors to analysts, IT teams, partners, everybody else who has supported this endeavor. ILO is proud to have been a partner in the process, from the design of the survey to the analysis, and today also at this launch. The survey, as we'll find out from the presentation, will provide a wide range of information about the labor market, not only covering national population, but also insights into experiences of specific groups, including young men and women, labor migrants, and individuals with functional limitations. Such targeted data is essential for creating inclusive and effective policies that address unique challenges faced by each of the groups. One of the survey's notable strengths is its adherence to internationally recognized standards. The data collection and analysis followed recommended guidelines for measuring labor market indicators, particularly the 19th ICLS resolution on work, employment, and labor utilization. So from the ILO, we do confirm that what will be launched today is in line with international standards. This approach ensures that the data is accurate, reliable, and comparable to global benchmarks, making it a robust tool for policy formulation and international comparison. The survey findings are both insightful and thought-provoking. One key finding is that unemployment remains a significant challenge, with the unemployment rate increasing unemployment rate increasing slightly from 33.3% in 2021 to 35.4% in 2023. While this increase might seem modest, it is crucial to recognize that more than half of the unemployed population, 52.5%, are experiencing long-term unemployment, defined as being without work for 12 months or more. This data calls for deeper understanding of the factors contributing to long-term unemployment. And this asks questions such as, are skills mismatch a key issue in the country? Are there structural challenges disproportionately affecting certain demographic groups, especially the young people? I think these are questions that we need to discuss. The survey also indicates that long-term unemployment decreases with age, suggesting that youth employment is particularly vulnerable. Addressing these challenges requires targeted interventions, including skills training, career guidance, better alignment between educational outcomes and labor market needs. Unemployment is also another significant issue highlighted in the survey. About 11% of the population work fewer than 35 hours per week, and they would like to work more. So the question is, how do you create opportunities to address underemployment? These are individuals who are available and willing to increase their working hours to improve their income and support their families. Tackling underemployment is essential for enhancing economic security of households and ensuring that people can meet their basic needs. Developing flexible working arrangements, promoting part-time opportunities can contribute in addressing the issue. The survey also examines the nature of work relationships. Data collected according to the 20th ICLS resolution on work relationships has expanded our understanding of the employed population characteristics, including their level of authority and economic risks they face. A significant finding is the high number of business operators running unincorporated enterprises where there is no legal separation between the business and the individual. This setup exposes business owners to considerable economic risks, particularly during crises like the recent COVID crisis we had. Addressing the challenges of informal work arrangements is vital for developing policies that strengthen job security and economic resilience. By formalizing more business and providing support for SMEs, we can protect entrepreneurs from economic shocks. Workers' participation in decision-making processes is another critical component of the decent work agenda. The survey reveals that approximately 66% of employees are not affiliated with any workers' organization, implying that about 23% are. This trend holds true for both male and female workers. Low level of union membership can limit collective bargaining power, reduce workers' ability to negotiate better wages and working conditions. Strengthening union representation and fostering workplace democracy are essential for improving working conditions. Occupational health and safety also remain essential priorities. I would like to acknowledge the team's dedication to monitoring this area by compiling data for SDG 8.8.1, which tracks non-fatal occupational injury. The survey data complements existing administrative records by capturing incidents that might otherwise go unreported. Additionally, it offers detailed profiles of affected individuals, including age, sex, occupation, and economic activity, helping to identify high-risk sectors and populations. Ladies and gentlemen, Honorable Minister, today we are celebrating the launch of the second report focusing on youth experiences in the labor market. Globally, we know that young people face considerable challenges in finding stable and decent work. This report profiles the youth labor market experience of the Kingdom of Eswatini, comparing it with that of the adult population and exploring why some youth remain outside the labor force. Understanding why many young people neither work nor actively seek employment is crucial. The report identifies regions with the highest proportion of disengaged youth, highlighting the importance of localized strategies to improve labor market accessibility. Evaluating whether existing pro-employment policies are reaching the affected areas would be vital to addressing this issue effectively. Looking ahead, the ILO remains committed to supporting stakeholders in interpreting the data from these reports and developing evidence-based policies. We encourage all stakeholders present here to collaborate in utilizing these insights to tackle the challenges identified. In conclusion, the Labor Force Survey is more than a data collection exercise. It is a testament to evidence-based policymaking and to inclusive development. On behalf of the ILO, I do extend my gratitude to all the stakeholders involved in this endeavor and urge continued collaboration to ensure that the findings of the surveys translate into tangible improvements in people's lives. With these remarks, I thank you for having ILO as a partner for this journey and for this launch. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Director. We are indeed grateful to have you. Thank you. Yes, Honorable Minister, we will now have a chance to hear you. The Principal Secretary will come and introduce you, but we will request, ladies and gentlemen, that after the Minister has delivered his remarks and unveiled the reports, we will ask to take a photo shoot. First, it will be the top table. Number two, it will be maybe the team from statistics with the Minister and Director. Then we will take it from there. PS, Boya. Boya uto thula indvuna. Yes, no, we are very, very grateful to the team. As the director was speaking here, they nice, but I think as a Minister of Labor, we should be celebrating because they usually say that a problem seen is a problem solved. So the fact that the Minister of Labor, through the statistics units, labor statistics, to come up with a problem that now the problem is here. Because we all know that the issue of employment and unemployment is a multi-sectoral issue. Just a few days ago, somebody was stressing a point saying that no, government is not responsible for creating jobs. No, government creates an environment for job creation, not for job creation. I picked that point very well and said, yeah, maybe, yeah, he is right, because government creates the environment for job creation, and then everybody else then gets involved. So we really applaud our labor statistics units, because they are not making the numbers. They are really coming up with the right numbers. In this country, you know, we always worry about statistics. The statistics we worry about is the population, because every year is 1.1, every year is 1.2. We wonder, when are we going to 2 million? This country works so hard, but the numbers are not going up. But no, the labor statistics, they are not cooking the numbers. The numbers are accurate. Yes, wherever we go, what's your population? It's 1.2 million. Following year, population a decade, 1.2 million. Yet we know that the country is working very hard. PS, come.
Siyabonga Mngoni. Nalama statistics akho lo qhamuka nawo abo 1.1 bo 1.2 nokuthi level liyachubeka liyasebenza kodwa solo ukude ama results. Honorable Minister, Honorable Buthelezi, sitawucela babe usonzele ngaphambili utawusithulela your keynote address. As the minister is approaching, ndawucela nje simshale tandla, singasukumi, simshale tandla.
Thank you very much, PS. Greetings to Director, Mr. Simelan. Let me also appreciate the presence of the chairperson of our portfolio committee in Senate, Senator Mwasa, Director Mosindo from the ILO, Maria, I haven't seen her, but I've heard that she's around. Greetings to you. And the rest of the ILO team that is with us this morning. Let me also extend my greetings to the World Bank, who I'm told is a part of this gathering, European Union, academia, United Nations, the PS in the Ministry of Labor, and all senior government officials in our midst today, development partners, officials from various ministries within government, junior officers as well, I greet you, the media, ladies and gentlemen. Please allow me to share some remarks with you this morning. It's only 10 pages that I'm going to read. So yes, please do bear with me. I hope you had enough breakfast earlier for you to be able to be patient that long. And let me start by thanking the director who has made some remarks before me. The ILO has been a long-standing partner for the government of the Kingdom of Eswatini. We really appreciate your coming, Director. You might have delegated since you had other engagements, the other side. I understand you had meetings with the PS, with the Labor Commissioner just the other day, but you decided to drive all the way to come and join us this morning. We really appreciate that. Ladies and gentlemen, may I at the very onset thank each one of you for coming to this official release of the 2023 Labour Force Survey main report and the thematic report on youth. I wish to thank all the partners that have contributed financially and supported the government of Eswatini technically to complete these two reports. In particular, may I, on behalf of His Majesty's government, thank in this regard the ILO, the Central Statistics Office, the Central Bank of Eswatini, the Eswatini Tourism Authority, and all Emaswati who took time to respond to the questionnaires. And let me also thank the officers who conducted the surveys. Without each one of your input, we wouldn't have been able to produce the work we're about here today. Employment statistics is at the center of government's development planning, as it provides a snapshot of where the economy is at in a particular point in time in terms of absorbing its active labor force in productive employment. The statistics give us a measurement to compare where we have been in a similar time in the previous years or the last time such an exercise was undertaken. They also give us pointers of the sectors of the economy that are producing jobs and those that are struggling to give the country jobs that are needed in the economy. Most importantly, through these statistics, the government and all other players in the economy will know which groups of the population are most affected by unemployment and therefore design appropriate response policies. We are coming from a period where unemployment, structural unemployment, and underemployment was a top global problem. And Eswatini was also experiencing the same, where the youth and women unemployment was disproportionately higher compared to other groups. Government had set plans in the medium to long term to address the country's development challenges through various interventions including, among others, the strategic roadmap. Our major problem is the difference between the production of these statistics. In developed economies, employment statistics are produced monthly, in some other countries quarterly, and the longest interval is usually 12 months. Our interval is 2 years, and this is very long to give us a true reflection of the dynamics of the changes in the labor statistics figures, as employment is sensitive to specific occurrences at specific times. This has to be improved. This needs to be improved. Ladies and gentlemen, I know I shared similar sentiments a few years ago on the issue of intervals on the statistics. It's not like we are lamenting. We do wish to have timeless surveys for accurate statistics. But as a government, we are short on resources to be able to conduct that as and when desired. So I hope you will bear with me on that lamentation. But it's comforting that we do have some development partners in our midst today who are hearing our plight, and I think they will make some considerations in terms of supporting the ministry in making sure that we have timeless surveys for us to disseminate accurate statistics for the labor force in our economy, because this is very, very critical. It's crucial to have, and to have it on time, and to have it as accurate as possible. Colleagues, development partners, and all our stakeholders in the economy, our labor market is not at a favorable position. We need to get the economy working again and reverse the gloomy picture painted by the figures we are here to share with you today. The result of the Labor Force Survey report clearly show that there is an improvement on the unmet need of employment in the economy. My apologies, let me skip this one. Ladies and gentlemen, the result of the Labor Force Survey report shows an unfavorable unemployment rate since we last disseminated results after the 2021 survey. The unemployment rate 2021 stood at 33.3. That's the last statistic we presented the last time we had an event of a similar nature. But the unemployment rate this time around 2023 has gone up to 35.4. From 33.3 to 35.4. But then this is further concurred by the increase in the employment to population ratio, the absorption rate, which has, at least it's an improvement, it has gone up from 3.6 in 2021 to 32.8 in 2023. And this means that the economy is somehow improving in terms of providing employment to the population. In addition to that, the youth between the ages of 15 to 24 years had an unemployment rate of 58.2, which has since declined in the 2023 survey report to 56%. It's a 2.2% decline in the youth unemployment rate. As I'd say that these figures tell us that we need to work hard to turn the tides. The technocrats who conduct the survey and compile these reports will today further give the results contained in these reports. The Labor Force Survey 2023 main report and the Youth Thematic report are officially released today. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your kind attention. Gombesinga unveile mngone ngesinje kancane. Umuntu akasathe leli thuba abonge Yamatiko kahulumende lesibambisene nawo kulona msebenzi. Sibonge tinhlangano letahlukahlukene letibambisene nahulumende weNgonyama kufaka ekhatsi bo-ILO labatse badlala lichaza lelikhulu ekusekeleni uhulumende, kungaba ngeluhlavana, kungaba nge-technical support, naletinye nje tinhlangothi letinengi, letinye lesinato la ngekhatsi, World Bank, UN, nabo Eswatini Tourism Authority, Central Bank, banengi nje lesengibabalulile lesisi kuleli thuba amane sibabonge kwenta lo msebenzi lesihlangene ngawo namhla kutsi ube yimpumelelo. Akusiko kona lokuhle lokuyaphi lelesikwethulako njengoba kuti balo letikhomba kuba khona noma kwesolakala kwayo imisebenzi lokukhomba kutsi kuyenyuka kwenyukile from 33.3% in 2021 to 35.4 in 2023. Akusiko lokuhle loku kodwa nje lokuthuthutako kutsi uhulumende wayeNgonyama wenda konke lokusemandleni kuzama kunciphisa leti tinombolo njengoba nangabe besilandzela sonke singemaswati. There has been a recently concluded investment conference that we had in the past 2 days, which is giving some hope. There are quite substantial promises of job creation that are coming with it, and we're looking forward to working together, all of us working together to make sure that loko kuba impumelelo le msebenzi yakheka yamaswati akhona kuphila kutawuncipha leti tinombolo letingasiko favorable. Kodwa nje noma kunjalo kuyathuthuka kukhomba lokwekutsi kulabasha tinombolo talabeswele imisebenzi tiyangekwehla. Betisetulu ti 58.2 2021, seti ku 56 in 2023. Kuyasinika lelithemba lakwekutsi khona la kubhekwe khona kusho ukuthi bani labasha sebatilolonga ngemakhono ladzingekako ku-economy, sebavuka bayifuna imisebenzi ne-economy iyakhona kuba absorba ngokungcono kunasemnyakeni lesemveni. Kodwa ke emabandla bekunene asetawuchaza kabanti ngalama statistics njengoba sitolontsha lama report lamabili. Siyethemba nitawu-engage extensively ngoba ikhona i-session ye-question and answer kuthola tonke timpendulo kumbele ngabe tiyadzingeka nekuhlomisana ekutheni singabambisana njani kuze le nkinga ye-unemployment silo nayo siyehlise ngelizinga lelitawugculisa. Bekunene siyabonga kakhulu i-attention yenu nekuxolisa nje ukuthi usachubeka umsebenzi sitawuke sisishelele njengoba ngiphambi kwenu iParliament ihleti kunemotion leconzene nathi yalo litiko lokufuna umuntu ayiphendula kutabe kungasiko kumbe kunibukela phasi noma kubukela phasi lona msebenzi isukele imisebenzi emak-order ayaganzelana. Siyethemba ndasibeketelela kuloko kodwa nje the senior management itabi khona kuchuba lonke lihlelo lawo umsebenzi. Siyabonga kakhulu malangeni lusuku lichubeke lube luhle.
So, Anonymous, we kindly invite your director to come, Namage Mota at the PS, and Nalomele Statistics Umkayalapa at the Commissioner Boyan, however. Yes. Are we not going to bring it forward here so that we I'll shine down the beginning. Thank you so much. Asitiphinzeni bekunene. This is the beginning of a photo shoot. Yes, they are smiling, yes. Thank you. Ningabosalela ngaphandle kufanele bavele bede bekunene. Thank you. Sicela baba, the statistics team should come also qina buyani. Statistics team. Phakamani bekunene into shutana abantu labadzala. Oysto khona kusikuvele date. This is beautiful. Asithatheni ithombe bekunene sizoqhubekela phambili. How Babe Masuku, how did you remain? Because yes, you have to come. Ushiya umphathi wakho mnethu. Udawuphelelwa ngumsebenzi. Sethu na abazikhuphuka manje. Ngibona na director wakasimak. She's one of our HODs. Now yalapha ngemuva. Director Simak gijima manje. Singa ungasalele ngaphandle. Projector, special projector, please. It's reflecting. Can especially projector here reflect? Not yet, upaqile Director Simak. Yeah, reflector, yes. Yeah, singatsatsa kahle ke Thombe icishile le project. Sibongile kakhulu. Sibongile Honorable Minister. Oh, okay. Oh, where baby meet? Yes, it's connect for the teacher. Cha, siyabonga endvuneni. Sicela sishaye indvuna tandla. Sesilonjele lo msebenzi. Sesingakhuluma now we can engage on the numbers and discuss and see what happens. But to begin with, I will call Melus Smilan. He will come and give us a background on the integrated labor force survey. And then after him, I will call the representative of the director CSO, He will also come and give us the results presentation. Yeah. Yes. Can we welcome him, please? Can we get back the projector, please?
Honorable Minister, I would like to follow on the protocol already displayed by the Program Director. Ladies and gentlemen, both inside the House and the ones watching us at home in the live platform, I greet you all this morning. My name is Melusi Simelane. I'm here to give you a brief background about the labor force survey that produced these results. We are a unit called the Employment Statistics Unit, which is under the Ministry of Labor and Social Security. I'll give the introduction, the methodology, modules covered, the thematic reports that come out of this survey, of the LFS data, and the challenges of this survey that we face during our work. The labor force survey is a household-based survey whereby the inquiry is directed to the households designed to obtain information on the labor market and related issues through a series of face-to-face interviews. The 2023 labor force survey is the sixth of the series, which started in 2007. We used to conduct the surveys after 3 years. We had one in 2007, followed by 2010, then 2013, 2016, and then we had the 2021 results of the International Classification of Status in Employment according to the type of economic risk. And lastly, the International Classification of Status at Work, which covers all jobs and all forms of work activities, including own use production. The methodology for doing this survey, since as the statistic body, we do not have a list of all households in the country, but the country is divided into segments called the enumeration areas. In order to reach the households, we have to first reach the enumeration area. How do we reach the enumeration areas? We do some I'll restart to that one, I'll repeat that one. So, as we want to find the holding that we are going to, the households that we're going to visit, we do a sampling. We have a sampling frame that was collected by the population census in 2017. That's why we do our first stage sampling, which is stratified, and we had a sample of 251 enumeration areas. Within those enumeration areas, we then had to visit 12 households in each of that enumeration area to get a sample of 3,012 households. We are very happy with our response rate from the data that we collected. From all these 3,012 households, 3,011 were able to give us information. We really appreciate to all the respondents who answered to our questions. Then who do we target when we go to the household? Most of the modules inside the questionnaire will ask questions from all persons who are 12 years and above. But for the child labor module, we are going to ask children aged 5 to 17, as defined by the ILO definition of children. The survey instruments, the instruments we use to collect the data. ILO is, with the statistician, they do some meetings and come up with the resolutions. As a country, we then adopt those resolutions. A cracker, the Eswatini has been the first country in the SADC region to implement most of these resolutions. So as a country, you find yourself being a benchmark of the other countries, asking how did you manage to do this? We then customize the questionnaire because it's international to fit the standard, the setup in the country. When you go to the interviews, we recruit and train the field staff. For the 2023 survey, we had a training of the whole month in August, 1 full month. The questionnaire is very intense and very long. So that's the training. And then the data collection started in September to December 2023. We collected 10% of the respondents using a paper questionnaire, and then 90%, about 2,800 using tablets. That is paper, that is CAPI. As I mentioned earlier, the response rate was very good. With all the clusters of 251 clusters or enumeration areas, we managed to visit them all. And then out of all the households, 3,012, we managed to get 3,011. Response rate at 99.9%. Only one holding has the missing information. Again, I would like to thank the respondent who gave us these wonderful responses. The modules covered in the 2023 LFS consist of the demographics. We ask you your name, your age, do you work? That's part of the demographics. We also ask about the international migration for those who find that they are coming from outside the country to work inside Eswatini. We also have modules on child labor. And then we have the main module covering the labor force. That is the core of the LFS questionnaire. We have, I don't know if I have to read all of them, but we have topics on employed at work, temporary absent from employment, agricultural work, market orientation, job search, and many more. With this information, we then analyze this data to come up with these reports. We have volume 1, the main report, which we are having today. Volume 2, the report on youth. We are still having a draft on volume 3, which is the informal employment, the informality. And then we have another draft on child labor, which we hope this report will also see the day of being published in the future. The main report you are having today covers 11 chapters. We have the background and methodology, concept and definition, so that you are able to understand what's inside. You have to read the concepts and their definitions. Then we have the working age population. We have the employed population, working time, the earnings, occupational safety and health, labor underutilization, decent work, low pay, job security, and other indicators. We also have a mini section on international migration. We also have results on persons farming for their own use consumption. The next presenter of the report results will touch base on some of these figures that are shown in the report. Then the youth has 3 sections: the background, methodology, concepts and definitions. And then we separated the youth using the United Nations definitions of youth being individuals having 15 to 24 years. And then we also included the African Union Charter definition, which is 15 to 35. The LFS data is disaggregated using the geographical coverage. So it is put by the country using regions. We have 4 regions in the country: Hoho, Manzini, Shiselweni, and Lubombo. The settlement type, whether it's rural or urban. Sex, which is male or female. Then the age groups, which are in 5-year age bands. We have the citizenships, marital status, the highest level of education completed, field of education, occupation, economic activity, status in employment. This is what we're going to see inside the report. We have some challenges as a unit or as the statistics department during our work. Challenges. The most difficult one is the reluctancy of the respondents to give us information. They give us different reasons. Some will say your questionnaire is very long. You want some sensitive information. Others don't want to cooperate. So we face a lot of challenges. How do we manage then to get to the 99% response rate? The team is in 3 stages. There's the enumerator who will come to your household, who then fails to get the information. There will be a supervisor. He will try to come and pursue you to give us the information. If the supervisor fails, there is a coordinator. So it's very rare that you'll fail to give us information when the 3 of them are with you, because we won't force you, but we'll try to convince you to give us the information. We are very happy that at the end, we do this, we do get this information. Another challenge where, as a unit, we are short-staffed. Currently, we're having 2 permanent positions or officers and 4 working on temporary basis. We wish the relevant government ministry will give us the post to fill these 4 positions so that we can work properly. The budget itself. The budget, you find that it's even not enough to complete the survey, the main survey. It's a very challenging situation for us because other countries are improving. They are conducting the surveys on quarterly basis and the annual basis. One day we wish to conduct our labor force surveys annually, like most SADC countries. We wish the survey could be a capital project. I hope if it's a capital project, we can be able to work properly, because the recurrent budget, you find that it's for the budget is for the whole ministry. We are in the middle of a survey, and then we have no fuel. How are we going to reach this homestead? We're having a challenge. We hope one day the survey can be updated to be a capital project. We're supposed to have an informal sector survey, which is a standalone. Currently, we're having some few questions which are inside the main questionnaire. We hope one day we'll have funds to do this survey. Also, we have to do the migration survey, which will be a standalone. Now, our hands are tied. With that being said, as I close, we send our appreciations to the Eswatini government for funding this project, the World Bank, European Union, ILO, the CSO, Eswatini Tourism Authority, Eswatini Bank, and all other assisted financially and technically during the survey of 2023. We also thank the survey team who worked tirelessly, and all the respondents who gave us the information. With those words, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. May God bless us all.
Thank you so much. Can we give them a hand again? We really applaud this unit, ladies and gentlemen. The work is a lot, and the resources really do not match the work. But we really hope PS Masango is in the house. We hope she can consider it as a capital project, because really you have already heard that there are a lot of partners who have contributed to this work. But still, we could see them struggling, because we see them every day as they plan and implement this activity. It's really a lot of work. And also the fact that really it is a desire that as a country, we have it every year. The guy who's just left here is my brother. The other one who's coming is my schoolmate, Umkaya, Robert Fagut. besifunza naye le New Venevele ban. He's representing Director CSO, and he is going to come and give us a presentation on the numbers themselves. Can we give him a hand and welcome him as he comes? Yes, Kurumi Sumkai.
Thank you, Program Director, Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Labor and Social Security, Chairperson of the Portfolio Committee, Lamota, the Director of the ILO Pretoria office, with an officer from ILO also, Maria Pet, directors or maybe senior officials from ministries and departments, ladies and gentlemen. Their name is Robert Fagutse. As the program director has already mentioned, I will be actually standing in for the Director of Statistics to present. It is just actually a wonderful opportunity for me to present once more. If maybe I recall back 2007, we were actually part of the team. I presented the first labor force survey for Eswatini, and I was actually in charge of the unit of the National Employment Statistics. So that said, I'm actually not new in the area of labor statistics. But perhaps to start with, I think most of the things have already been mentioned, thanks to the previous presenters, especially for hitting actually it on the head, in particular when it comes to the importance of the labor market. I'm not seeing my slides. Yeah, it is actually true. A labor market is a market like any other market, and there we are seeing the labor force, which is actually providing labor as an input to the production process of goods and services in any country. But then we shall actually see how the interaction actually is like. We are having the household providing, and of course we are having the market demanding, and we are actually going to present the situation. I think it is also important. I've actually heard the minister mentioning the presence of the World Bank here. I think part of the work that the ministry has done, in particular the unit, is actually to come up with some kind of challenges. I think the country has been challenged by the high unemployment rate that has been reported this far. And I think it is actually upon that the country, with the support of the World Bank, they're actually embarking on another project, which is actually the youth a kind of project, which is actually targeting the agriculture sector. I think that one is also very important, because had it not been because of this work by this unit, the country will not actually know that we are actually having a big challenge of the youth. What I'm going to talk about, I'm going to talk to the working age population, the trends in the key labor market indicators, the trends in employment to population ratio, the employed population by economic activity, the manufacturing as a proportion of total employment, also look into proportion of the employed population working excessive hours, proportion of the employees who are lowly paid, and the trends on unemployment rates, youth labor force participation rate, youth informal employment rate, the proportion of the youth not in education, not in training, and I'm not in employment and also not in training, and also look into the youth unemployment rates. So maybe just giving out some few common definitions of what is actually meant by a labor force participation rate. It is actually said to be a measure of the proportion of the country's working age population that engages actively in the labor market, either by working or by looking for work. It provides an indication of the relative size of the supply of the labor available to engage in the production of goods and services in any territory or country. So that is actually it. We're talking of the labor force, we're talking about the effect of production, which is actually labor. They actually want to participate, but some, they do not because jobs are not there. So then looking into the employment to population ratio, these are actually defined as the proportion of those that are of the country's working age population that is employed. And then when it is actually high, when the ratio is high, it is actually showing that the large proportion of, when it's actually high, the large proportion of the country population is employed, while when it is low, it is actually the opposite. We move on. So the employed is defined by, in the resolution, as it has already been alluded to, we are actually coming from very far with these definitions. So ILO is actually improving, helping countries to sort of, improve the definition of employment. It started, I remember when I started, I was using the 13th ICLS, where we're just looking at a person to be employed, whether paid or unpaid. But now I think the issue of payment then came in with the 19th ICLS resolution. As person working age who, during the short reference period, were engaged in an activity to produce goods and services for pay or profit, whether at work during the reference period, that is a job attachment or not. So that is actually the definition. The short reference period can actually be an hour. Even if you're engaged for even 1 hour, we say you are actually employed for that reference period. So then the employment rate becomes the best known labor market measure, and certainly one of the most widely quoted by the media in many countries. So this is actually the one that normally. It also helps to sort of like measure the country's economic performance, as it is actually telling us how the country is performing, because the more they are not employed, it's also a problem in the country. So the unemployment rate tells us the proportion of the labor force that does not have a job, is available to work, and is actively searching or looking for a job. So we also have got one key indicator, that is the need, which is actually the youth, not in employment, not in education, and also not in training. So this one is a broader measure of the potential youth labor market entrance, either youth unemployed or youth inactive. So it's very important that we know what it means when we're having a youth that is not employed. So now, putting it maybe in a pictorial form. So we're coming from the working age population. You know that the labor force is coming from the entire population, but for measurements, we come up with some kind of a working age population which is 15 years and above. Some countries, they do have the lower bound and also the upper bound, but for our case, we just have the lower bound at 15 years, but we don't have an upper bound. Hence the reason why we still have got the 70s still working and the 60s still looking for a job. So from what is actually presenting the working age population, which are actually the people 15 years and above, we're having 793,614. So from there, that is where we actually start. And then we looking at other dynamics, be it demographic or so, we just have people who can actually move straight out of the labor force. You know that some challenges of the labor force can be, disability can be one of them. We have got a chronic illness can also be one of them. And also this issue of malnutrition or malnourishment, because some people cannot participate in the labor market simply because they're malnourished, and of course they're chronically ill, and of course they're too disabled to work, because disability doesn't mean inability. So that's why we have those ones that are out of the labor force. And others, of course, they might be too old to work, and others too young to work. Those are some of the reasons. But then we have the labor force there, which is actually standing at 402,910, which is almost 51% of the countries, I mean, of the population. And then from there, the labor force actually is comprised of those that are employed and also those that are unemployed. And if you look at those that are employed, we're sitting at 65%, and of course, the unemployed at 35%. And then if you look closer, now we've got those that are not seeking, not available, and not willing to work at almost 55%, and then the potential labor force. Yesteryears used to actually have some other definitions like the discouraged job seekers, and so now we have actually improved to say we have potential labor force sitting at 75,485, which is actually 19%. And then we've got others that are outside the labor force. So this pictorial actually is telling us what is actually happening in the Kingdom of Eswatini, taking it from the entire population. This is how people actually, when you study how they relate to the labor market. Can we move to the next slide? So from what we're now moving on to the key labor market indicators, I think from here it is actually clear that almost 1 in 2, they do actually participate in the labor market. That is, we're actually almost having 50% of the people actually reaching the labor market. And if you look at the inactivity rate also, it is actually following the same trend that it is almost 1 out of 2. And then if you look at the absorption rate of the country, which is also a good indicator to tell how the country is able to absorb those that are looking for a job, it is actually low at almost, by saying 1 out of 3 people are absorbed in the market. So if maybe 3 people are going look for a job, only 1 can be absorbed. So that one may not be a good indicator. Also, it means that we're actually having a low absorption rate as a country. And also looking at the unemployment rate, which is also around 35%, in short, meaning that also 2 out of 5, close to 40%, they're actually, unemployed. That also is also not a good indicator because the unemployment rate for the country seems to be a bit high. Okay, we can move. So now looking to the trends of, okay, I could have maybe talked to the trend over years, if maybe we were to go back to the slide, but maybe I will talk to it as we go on. But something is missing here. Yeah, I'm not seeing my years. They should be showing somewhere. Yeah, here they were showing, but in the slide that you have just presented, is it still there? But perhaps it is there. So we're actually saying that if you look at those that are coming from the urban areas, they had a better chances to be employed compared to their rural counterparts, as it is actually shown by this by this graph here. You will see that the urban participation or urban employment to population is actually high compared to the rural counterparts, and it is actually higher for both Woho and Mazini region compared to the other 2 regions, that is the Shiselweni region and also the Luombo regions. Because I'm not actually seeing my years here, but you can actually see that it is actually in a way decreasing as maybe we look at it, instead of maybe it actually going up. Yeah, money. Yeah, give me obstructed the PS. Okay, but it is actually, I don't know. Nangathi kancane. Adjust the screen. Oh, okay. So if you look at it, we are actually having 2023, which is actually like yellowish, and the one that is actually dark brown is actually 2016. If you look at 2016, where the urban were actually standing at 56, and then it is now down at 51, almost 51%. That's why I'm saying it is also reducing in a way. We are actually having 2021, of course, and you know there may be some issues, because if you see it in 2021 we're standing at 42%, but it is actually 25% for the rural folks. So that's why I'm saying in a way or the other it is decreasing. You move on. So then we move to the percentage distribution of the employed population by economic activity and also by year. So looking at what is actually coming here, we are looking at service sector, which is actually maybe dominating in terms of employment compared to the other sectors. Of course, with our agriculture as an agroeconomy, we are actually around 14% over years. And if you look at the utility sector, the electricity and water, it is almost 1%. And we have our construction at around 5%, and then manufacturing. But then maybe comparing over years, you can actually see that for 2023, which is actually the year that we are in, the non-market is at actually 21 compared to 31 in 2021, and then the same thing applies. So we're showing some kind of, it is actually depicting some kind of a decline. So, but what is important is that the country is actually dominated by the service sector compared to the other sectors. That is where employment is, whether informal or formal. Move on. So now looking at the employed population by unit of production, this one here, almost the shorter one, this side, looking at it at national level, which is actually at 6%, is actually for household, and then we've got the formal sector and also the informal sector. So looking at it generally, we are actually seeing the formal sector dominating, and that side we are actually having our males and also the females. And the question is, who are actually in these sectors? Maybe looking at the formal sector, for men, that side, it is actually 51%, and then it is, there are actually, it's 45% for females. So the males are actually dominating the formal sector compared to their counterparts. And if you look at the household sector, we are actually seeing that this region, I don't know whether it's Manzini, is actually having more people working in the household sector compared to the other regions. Of course, we may actually have the other region having fewer people working there, in particular Shiselweni and the Lubombo region. But the informal sector continues to be somehow dominated by the females compared to their male counterparts. We can move on. So now the manufacturing sector, here the Shiselweni region is actually dominating the manufacturing sector compared to the other region. And of course, if you look at national level, it is actually above the national average. If you look at it for both 2021 and also 2023. So this is what it is actually showing. We might be actually having some kind of maybe issues there, especially with the 2021 data, but the picture is just the same, that if you look at both, the Shiselweni region is dominating, thanks to those that are actually bringing up some kind of factories for the region. Then you can see that most of our people, other than that, the Shiselweni region used to be actually the least when it comes to other to employment. So now for those that are working excessive hours at national level, we are actually seated at 27%. for 2021, and for the year that the year that we're reporting is 27%, and then for 2021 it was actually almost 30%. And you can actually see that still we've got men that are working more hours compared to females. And I think your guess is as good as mine, that it is maybe because of working in sectors like construction, in sectors like transport, where they need to actually wake up as early as possible. Then we can move to the next slide. Now we've got employees in a low paid by region and also by year, comparing 2023 and 2021, with my blue being 2021, my reddish being 2023. Generally, we are seeing that the Mazini region, of course, is actually having a lower percentage compared to the other regions. But if you look at certain regions, the percentage is actually high for the lowly paid compared to the other regions. And it's also high it's mainly because the Shiselo region may be said to be rural, because if you look at the rural counterparts, they're actually leading in terms of those that are working working where they're actually getting low payment. So then the trends of unemployment by region, like we said, in our tool, we're actually defining a person to be unemployed if a person is without a job, a person is looking for a job, and the person is available for a job. So what we're actually getting here is that for the regions, we're having the Shiselo region still having the highest percentage of the labor force being unemployed, as it is actually depicted there. And then it is followed by the Hoho region. But maybe looking generally, we are actually seeing that there is an upward direction. That is, the unemployment rate is actually moving up, which is actually not a good indicator, because what the country should actually strive for is to reduce unemployment as much as possible. And we shall actually see that which are those that are mostly unemployed, and those mainly are the youth. And because, like we said, if you compare by the residents, the rural folks are the ones that are having difficulties to penetrate into the labor market compared to their urbanites. Yeah, then looking at the youth labor force participation rates, as we have already produced a document, we are actually seeing that at national level, the youth do actually participate to the labor force. And then the youth here is divided into two. We've got those that are 15 to 24, as it is the ILO definition or the global definition, and then, of course, the AUC definition of 15 to 34. That includes also Eswatini. So we can actually see that the unemployment rate for those that are 15 to 35, it is actually high compared to those that are. But generally, the participation rate for the youth is actually high, but then the issue will be on the absorption rate. But if you look at Mazini region, is actually leading, having a high of 51, and then followed by those that are coming from the urban areas. We are seeing the participation rate actually low at 28% for those that are 15 to 24, especially in the rural areas. Bear in mind that there might be some issues why maybe people may not be participating. I think these are some of the discussions that will actually be looking at when we open the Q&As. I think we can move to the next. So now the youth informal employment. I think, like we have already mentioned, employment has actually become a livelihood for so many people. People, they go to look for a job so that they can actually meet their daily needs. And if you look at the youth employment rates by says in the informal sector, and of course the informal employment by definition is that employment that has got, some limitations, especially they used to describe it as precarious jobs, where we are actually not secured, not even entitled to some other social benefit. So we're actually having our youth, especially those that are 15 to 24 at almost 81%. And of course, those that are 15 to 34 at 67% at international, it is actually high. So most of our youth, that is where they're actually employed compared to, and then if you look at here, there is not much, but there might be not much difference between the sexes, males and female. If you look at the presentation here, you will actually realize that it is actually 80 against 81, which of course maybe not much significant, but regionally, yeah, even the regionals, they're actually following the same trend. We're actually having a high informal employment rate for the youth, 15 to 24, across the country, even across, sexes. So now moving to the NEET, which is actually the proportion of the youth not in employment, not in education, and also not in training. So that it is actually showing that 2 out of 5 young people are not in education, they're not employed, they're also not in training, with the whole region recording the highest compared to the other regions. But still, if you look at the picture, the chart generally, the trend seems to be actually the same. We're actually having the same problem. The figures are actually a bit high, save that the whole region is actually leading, and the rural people are the ones that actually facing it much if compared to their urban counterparts. And looking at maybe the Shiseln region also is actually following at 48%. So generally, this is where the issues are. Like I also mentioned, thanks to this information, because we can actually see some programs are actually being discussed, or they're coming up as a result of maybe having brought up these issues regarding youth unemployment. In particular, those that are not in education, not in employment, and also not in training, because this is like a time bomb. Because an idle mind is end. So if you are not idle, if you are idle, you may actually end up doing something. So this is actually a big challenge for not only Eswatini, I think for all countries that are having a similar statistics. So now the youth unemployment rates by the region. Shiselweni region, of course, is high at 71% for those that are 15 to 24. And you can see it's actually above the national average, with the national average standing at 56 for those that are 15 to 24. And then we have got 49% at national level for those that are 15 to 35. And then general, the rural folks, the rural youth are the ones that are actually hit hard by unemployment in Eswatini. Yeah. I think, ladies and gentlemen, that said, it should actually mark the end of my presentation. Thank you so much for listening.
Thank you, Mkai. You have put a lot of energy. Thank you very much, Mr. Woods. He has really put a lot of energy. Can we give him another hand? Mkaya lo, so sebenzile imbele. Now, I will open it up for comments, questions, clarifications required, clarifications rendered, and you will just raise your hands, and then I will come down with the mic. Wait, can you move another mic? Yes. Yeah, I will and then from the statistics unit, they will come with the technical answers. But we are all allowed to give comments when questions are submitted, because we all know the numbers. We have a lot of experts here. And I know that some of the questions will not be about numbers. We will all respond team. Okay, questions, please. And if there are no questions, I'm closing the meeting. If there are no questions, I will close the meeting. Thank you very much. Our own Senate Chairperson. Thank you.
Thank you, Mngweni, and thank you, Ndolo, for the elaborate presentation. It has opened our eyes. But I am a bit worried about the definition of employment. In my mind, I'm asking myself, what then happens to persons that are employed by nations which are not for profit? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mayamata. I will take 3 and then give them to answer. Oh, yeah, go that side. I'm here.
Thank you very much, Program Director. And let's thank the presentation from Babe Fagutse. It was very insightful. For me, it's 3 questions. The first one, from the presentation, it appears as though manufacturing is viewed as the major driver in terms of employment creation because it's isolated. And I'm not sure whether that assumption is fair and correct. I would very much appreciate his reaction on that. And then the second question, the ILO director spoke about the rate of unionization being low in the country. One of the key aspects of the decent work program in any country, including Eswatini, is that unions are better placed to engage and represent the interests of workers. And in my view, does that report cover the rate of unionization? Unfortunately, I've not had the opportunity to have a proper look as he was presenting it, but I would very much like to know whether the report does cover the rate of unionization. And then the last question is the question of the intervals that the Honorable Minister spoke about. He said 2 years, and I understand some other countries run these on a quarterly basis so that we know what the current, because as he rightly said, everything changes quite frequently and quite rapidly. So what are the primary, you mentioned the challenges, and I think one of the presenters, I can't recall his name, my brother over there, mentioned the key challenges. So how do we see ourselves resolving these challenges? Issues of shortages in staff, issues of being under-resourced, particularly financial resources, that we get to a level where there are contributions which will not forever be there. So it does tell you that the problem of the intervals, unfortunately, will persist. So I would very much like to know how far the discussions are internally to kind of resolve those. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Can I take yours also?
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Osanku Beni from Tukoso. Yes, mine is just short. I've heard on the presentation that Siselweni is the region that frequently seems to be having high employment rate. Can it be because of perhaps there is less focus on Shiselweni in terms of production and job creation? Have we ever think of perhaps another sector, which the informal sector, that touches gig economy, in trying to improve the life of the people, especially because these days they focus more on social media, on how to create jobs, things in that line.
Thank you so much. Now we will take the responses. I know several our officers will respond, but I will start with Melusi. Maria, they want you to start.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Maria Payet from the International Labour Organization. I am the Labour Statistics Specialist based in Pretoria, working with several countries, including Eswatini. So the team is perfectly capable of answering the questions. I will just address the first one because I just want to say a few words about the process for coming up with the definition. I think that is important. So Just like several UN organizations or entities are custodian of different goals of the SDG, ILO is custodian of Goal 8 of the SDG. In total, ILO is custodian of about 14 SDG indicators, some in combination with other organizations, such as the World Bank, for example. So because ILO is responsible for these goals, it means that ILO is responsible for the development of the measures. And this is done in a process that is called the International Conference of Labor Statisticians. It is held every 5 years. So every 5 years, definitions are either updated or modified based on countries' needs. But it's important to know that ILO only acts as the secretariat. So ILO does not come up with a definition and then asks countries to adhere. So it is actually countries that form parts of the different working groups that helps come up with the revised methodology or definition. And then this is a process, so these proposed definitions or methodologies are tested in several parts of the world and then finally adopted at one of the conferences. So what we do is we strongly encourage countries to please form part of the working groups to ensure that the specificity of our sub-region country is taken into account. So the definition of employment, which was adopted in 2013, so we call it the new definition, but it's been 11 years. So the difference here with how it was defined before is that the definition of employment focuses on employment for pay or for profit. So NGOs are not excluded, right? So for pay or for profit for 1 hour in the reference period. So what is excluded is unpaid work. So before that definition in the 13th standards, 13th ICLS, those engaged in own-use production were also considered as employed. But as of 2013, those engaged in production, meaning if you are planting your potatoes or your tomatoes and then you are consuming it yourself, this is not considered as employment, it is considered as own-use production. So the idea is not to make this unimportant, but actually to highlight the experience of those engaged in own-use production, report on them separately like the team have done by reporting on those that are engaged in farming. So just confirming that those in NGOs are considered as employed if they are paid. But also, last point, the resolution of 2013 highlights that there are different forms of work. Employment is one form of work. So those engaged in volunteer work, for example, this is considered as one form of work. So there is volunteer work, unpaid trainee work, employment, own-use production, and then other forms of work. So if we want to report on these activities, then we need to measure these activities. I hope that clarifies it.
Thanks, Payat, for that one. I think, Maga Senator, we are okay with the definition. Let me just maybe start with the last one from Tukoswa, Ngwan, where is actually, I think this one more than anything is a policy issue, that what is actually being done in Shiselweni region, since it is maybe showing that year in, year out, the unemployment rate for Shiselweni is high. I think that one we just maybe as we're giving out the figures, but the policy or programmers outside there should actually see to it that something needs to be done. There is a fertile, or I will say a virgin land in Shiselweni, because nothing much is actually done there. So if maybe people think of maybe opening up businesses or coming up with some economic activities, the Shiselweni region is actually the route to go. Thanks so much that last week, the head of state actually was actually there, and there is a lot of discussions with regards to creating or maybe coming up with jobs to improve the Shiselweni region. I think it's more than a policy issue than actually something we can respond to. But one is actually on the manufacturing sector, which seems to be high. I think it was just for the Shiselweni region, but in general, we said in the presentation, the country is actually dominated by the service sector. And then it is only when we're looking at the manufacturing itself that it is actually mainly in the Shisa region. But the country generally is dominated by the service sector. Whether non-market or market, the service sector is the one that is dominating our economy. Thank you. That is where I think even the social media can actually be found, because this is part of the social sector. Yeah, the other one, maybe the other colleagues can actually come in and respond to, especially the interval and also the issue of unionization. Thank you.
Thank you for the very insightful questions. Mine will be just to give clarity on the part of funding. This survey is funded by the Eswatini government. Every year we do the budgeting, but we find that our requests are not met to the maximum as we requested. I don't want to put the spotlight on the Minister of Finance, but really the request hits on them. Once they can absorb or agree to our request, I'm sure the interval of these surveys can be improved. And then there was another question asking about how to fill the post. For the past 10 years, I can recall, we've been sending requests to create posts for some officers in the unit. But each year we are told to wait for the next financial year until today. So the requests are being sent, but you find that you don't get favorable answers. As I speak, even today, we want to do the 2025 labor force survey. We are having a query on our request to hire the staff. That request has a query already. So it will be difficult for us if we fail to do this survey again, because the interval will also increase if we don't do it this year. Thank you very
much. Yes, thank you so much for the questions and the answers. Thank you so much. But in terms of resources are being negotiated every year. As I said earlier on, that this is a lot of work. So it demands partnerships, it demands cooperation, and the ministry is working around the clock to get other partners involved. And we believe that soon we will be having it every year. Angisikunjalo PS. Yeah, kunjalo PS. Bebabuta ukuthi yini singabi nayo. Vele le question nganginike wena PS ukuthi yini singabi nayo every year.
Siyabonga Mngoni, sibonge umbuto lomuhle bandla. Noma ngese ngitawugibela staff. Umbuto lo ngiwo lokuthi why singabi nayo i-labor force survey on an annual basis, or even more frequent than that. It's also true that some other partners and some other countries are doing that on a very frequent basis. This is a 2023 and 2025. It's behind. It's an issue that is throughout government. It's an issue of MR resources. It's an issue of availability of e-budget to undertake this exercise. We're grateful to our partners or to our social partners la khona endlini la sibambisako ukuthi ngalabo bozuka labancane sikhona kwenda lokho lesikwendako. But isithemba ukuthi as we go on and as we engage nema partners ethu njengoba ashilo minister, we will be in a position to fund this on a more frequent basis, perhaps even more frequent than a year. Kuhle lokuthe lama statistics abe khona. Lamanye amave there's a system labanawo because a strategic system to the latest information. Sine was slowly getting towards that. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, PS. Well done. Skona stak push up PS yes, okay, I will take another round of 3 questions. I don't know if the 3 people are happy. Magamota, you are happy. You are happy, my brother. You are happy? Thank you so much. So when I give you the mic with my sister here, you first give us your name and your organization, and then you give us the question. Thank you.
Okay. Sanibonani Bongosi. It's Malinga from Economic Planning. What I'm really concerned to ask is about ukuthi, as we are talking about the labor force, ukhanza ukuthi kufuna ukuthi sihambe sifike leti inkampani siyofuna such an information. But ukhanza kuleti inkampani atikuniki lelengiyo mbamba. So I'm talking about ukuthi ukahle ngomkhono umhlonishwa Makemota. Lokho ukuthi le Statistics Act ngazi ukuthi sesizala kakhulu, is there a way yini ukuthi sibe nematinyo so that these people batosiniketa what is really authentic is to uniketa level okungikho?
Good morning, everyone. My name is Brian Mohammed from the Ministry of Home Affairs. Mine is in relation to the government program of action, which was introduced during the last financial year. I think it's an opportunity for government now that we have the labor force survey, where we will look at the government program of action and align it with the results from the labor force survey. And we are hoping that ministries will be monitoring goals of the program of action. And at the same time, we are hoping the ministry which is concerned will institutionalize a feedback loop between the labor force survey and the government program of action goals. And it is of interest to our ministry that we see the planning section in government publishing a joint analytical report that map the program of action goals and the labor force survey. Thank you.
There's a question online. It will be the 4th one. I will take it after you, Mr. Ndlovu.
Good morning. My name is Lucky Love. I'm coming from the TVET sector. My questions are I just have 2 questions. One is focusing on the issue of lack of funds and the key challenges that are impeding or supporting this issue. What we have observed in the TVET sector is a lack of sufficient collaboration between actors, particularly on the industry side, of course within us as government as well. What is the Ministry of Labour doing perhaps to consider maybe strengthening the structures amongst players, maybe have a unified body that will be perhaps bringing together industry, government, so that maybe it will be easier to get one place, one point of reference or of engagement between the actors. The second question is drawn from the fact that how do we think we could shorten the time in terms of having shorter surveys up to real time? And I'm happy to hear that the PS is even observing us that, and in particular with the use of technology. What plans are in place? Is the ministry, looking at to try to, implement technology, and also linking with the inter-stakeholder engagement, so that it will be possible to have a real-time based survey. Thank you.
Greetings.
I will be coming to you. One online, please tell us the name of the person and where they're coming from, and then you actually pose the question.
Okay. The SNAT platform, where can we get the report?
Wow, that one is a simple answer. I think the report is already uploaded somewhere. I'm coming to you, PS, for Ndlovu's questions. And let me go to this team here to start with the last one.
Good morning once again. I am addressing some of the questions and will pass it on to the team. Just to contribute to the response to the one on manufacturing, as to why manufacturing was highlighted in the survey report. So this is because the questionnaire also responds to SDG 9.2.2. So SDG 9 is about innovation. So what the questionnaire does is that it captures information on manufacturing. So the weight of the manufacturing industry, because according to research done, there is a link between manufacturing and growth. So when there is an increase in manufacturing, it should be accompanied, ideally, theoretically, by an increase in growth in the economy. So this was to just highlight manufacturing as an economic activity and see how we are performing as a country. So that was the only reason, because it is an SDG 9.2.2, which is manufacturing, the proportion of manufacturing. So maybe also to just contribute towards a conversation about getting real-time data, compiling data on a real-time basis. So when countries increase the frequency from maybe 2 yearly or annual or quarterly, so first of all, it requires dedicated funding source, which is true. But also, on the other hand, there needs to be a change in how we are receiving the information. So the main stakeholder is always the Ministry of Labor, but then of course there's other different stakeholders. So is the ministry and other stakeholders organized to also receive the information quarterly? Because if we compile data every 2 years, but then we are not fast enough with our intervention, then increasing the frequency might not be a good idea if we are not ready to intervene accordingly. So the idea is that as you increase the frequency, you also organize yourself structurally to receive the data as frequently as you are producing and to intervene at the same time. And lastly, to confirm that indeed the report does provide the trade union density rate. So the rate that you see here is correct. In fact, this is the recommended source of information for trade union density. So for collective bargaining, the recommended source is the administrative data from the unions. But for trade union density, household survey is the recommended source to avoid double counting, because some people can be members of several trade unions. Thank you. Over to you.
Thank you. I'll only answer the one from online. We have a soft copy of the report online already. We have a system called the LMIS, Labor Marketing Information System. I hope my IT team there will respond to the link, upload the link of the report there on the online platform. Otherwise, there is an LMIS government system where you can find the report there and other government documents related to the labor market information. Thank you.
Government website? Ministry website. Here is the communications officer.
Yes, the reports will be uploaded before the end of the day on the ministry website. on www.gov.sz. www.gov.sz.
Usungefika lapho besibheka phi?
Ubheka ka-Labour. Kuna ministries and departments, and then you click on Ministry of Labour.
Yeah, ungakuthatha lula kanzi. Hey. Okay, let us give to the PS. Okay, let us give to Mata, please.
Thank you, Program Director. I'd like to respond to Mr. Malinga from Economic Planning on the issue of the Statistics Act. This act is housed under the Ministry of Economic Planning, and the Ministry of Economic Planning, put in a layman's language, are the users of that act. So they are the ones that see if that act still serves the purpose, and if it doesn't, then they would need to start the process of amending the act and then send it should go all the stages and then it's sent to Parliament so that we can deliberate on it. Thank you.
Siyabonga make sibonge the response. Sibonge nje general people for the responses, the questions and the responses that we've been getting. Indeed, IASACA, indeed they are showing us a way forward. They are also demonstrating the interest we have on the statistics, let's generator and the analysis, then thereafter let's generator. I think Salago, which is coming out from this meeting, is that how then do we take this forward? We have a beautiful document. We have statistics, maybe not as frequent as we want them to be, but then how then do we take this forward? What's the next step after this? So for next year, sihambe siyawuplana accordingly. With these statistics in mind, sibukela ama sectors which are affected by employment or unemployment. Intervene as a whole as a government, not just the Ministry of Labour, but intervene as a whole as government. Economic planning whether you will be intervening. Ministry of Finance, they will also got their spot where they'll also be intervening. Education and everybody else, finance, commerce, all the other players, even the industry out there. We all have a spot and somewhere where we can intervene to improve the statistics. Most statistics that are not good, the ministers pointed out that most statistics are similar when it comes to employment. So we need as a country, we need as my stakeholders, silungise live lethu litabane my statistics lamahle bantu bakhona ukuthola imisebenzi. Kune question le beyiphozwe ngubaba eNdlovu concerning TVET and collaboration yang ngicela kuyibuyisela ku program director our expect kule field lena akhona ukusirespondela accordingly. Program director ungakuphi?
Yes, thank you very much, PS. I thought you would answer this one. TVET space in the country is still very fragmented. Ministry of Education, Ministry of Labour, and other ministries. So, on the ground, in the background, efforts are being made to put down policies and legal frameworks to sort of try and capture the space very, very well. And I must say that development partners are also coming in to assist. We've got the EU who are coming in to assist. Already EU is in the house, they can hear me. We also had ILO coming in also to assist on the basic legal frameworks on making sure that we capture this space. And a lot of work is being done in there, I can assure the stakeholders. And we believe that in no time, we'll be having things coming in together. Thank you so much. Yes, I will take the last round of questions. And And then this will be the last 3 rounds of questions. Then I will give the director, the PS for comments, and then I'll give Magemotsa the closing remarks, and then we go.
Thanks you, Program Director. My name is Fundizwe Sikhonze from the Trade Union Congress of Swaziland. I wanted maybe a comment before I ask the question, that indeed we struggle as people who utilize information from this ministry to access information such as the lack of decent work in the jobs market, and the lack of decent work in the jobs market. To us, our esteemed presenters who have done a wonderful job, whether there is a link between the dominance of the service industry, which is dominating at an increasing rate versus the manufacturing industry, and the increase, which I note, the increase in the level of low-paid work in the labor market, which I think also goes towards increasing or ensuring that even though people are getting into the workspace, a reduction in poverty and other indicators are not improving in the country because of low paid work. Thank you.
2 more questions. 2 more questions. 2 more questions. Yes, I have one here. Thank you.
Okay, good afternoon. My name is Andile Matimela from Central Statistics Office. CSO. Yes, it's CSO. Yes, okay, it's not necessarily a question, but it's an appreciation for the report from the presenters. And then a suggestion or a question, a suggestion which should come in the form of a question as to how far has the department explored, because we are seeing like the issue of resource constraints, the issue of using secondary data in the times where there are no surveys, or is there any other available secondary data source that can be used in between those years? Maybe then when the actual data comes in, then you revise.
The observations that are contained in the report, I think the observations that are contained in the report, I think the comment made by Babes Konze is noted. But I think the observations which are contained in the report then can be taken into account as we develop the 3rd generation decent work country program. I haven't checked now to what extent can the statistics, unit, to what extent can it be of assistance in terms of, but maybe they can share some information regarding the link which Babes Konze is actually alluding to between the dominance industry and the others. But in terms of aspects which seeks to address decent work deficits which might have been uncovered during the survey, those can definitely be taken into account as we develop the 2nd generation or the 3rd generation decent work country program. I think that's how briefly we can collaborate. Obviously, when we do that, these kind of reports do assist development, do assist all of us in terms of the programs that we need to put in place as we do our work going forward. So workers are there, employers are there. So some of the observations and the comments contained in the report can definitely assist us as we move forward in developing our 3rd generation decent work country program. The 2nd generation decent work country program is coming to an end now in 2025, because it was for a 4-year period from 2022 to 2025. So we'll be venturing into the next exercise, and we can take these comments and into that particular document. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Babes Konze. I think the commissioner is Babem Tunzi Shabang. I think I think he's saying it very well that most of your comments are noted because if we try to answer, will be defensive. But it's good to note because you are highlighting gaps, so gaps are being noted. I will give to the statistics desk to talk about the issues of secondary data and stuff like that.
Okay, thank you for the question, Mr. Matimela. Actually, we cannot replace these statistics that we are here for today with secondary data because we have to get the labor supply. When we are talking about the labor supply, is those people that are unemployed. They are not registered anywhere. So also remember the informal sector is not registered anywhere. So we want also to come with maybe the informal employment rate. We cannot because secondary data cannot help us to come up with such figures. Also maybe even the unemployment rate, we cannot produce the unemployment rate with secondary data. So we really need to conduct this survey. Okay, basically in the unit we do conduct, we do use secondary data when we are conducting employment and wages survey, where we go to the companies and request for all their employees. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We really thank you, ladies and gentlemen. This launch is so beautiful because you are here. I will give the director to say his last words. He'll be leaving back to South Africa today, so we won't allow him to leave without saying something.
Thank you. I thought you were planning to extend my stay, which I would have loved to. Now, I think from the ILO, thank you for the rich debate onto the issues. Maybe first point I can give is that the work done, as I mentioned, is based on the international standards. So we do validate the numbers, the reports, and as with any piece of work, there can be a gap here and there, but from the ILO and the work that we have done with the ministry and the office, the numbers are based on the international statistician from the process and also this assessment. I think that's first. Second, I think when data comes out, the question is to give you a still photo of what things are. The question is now, how do we now analyze that data most? How do we now do universities, research institutes, use that data to actually now make policy recommendations that can then, at the end of the day, contribute in the development framework and changing people's lives. So it's now a question of how we are all going to use this data in terms of the policies, in terms of the research, and everything related for each and every of the institutions that are represented. It has been mentioned, Eswatini, one of the first countries, and also continuous, but also it has been mentioned a lot that there is need to have this data annually and even move to quarterly. I think it's something that has been taken note and need to, so the quality is getting better. Now it's around the quantity and how it comes a bit more frequently. So just to conclude to say from the ILO, we'll continue this collaboration and partnership in terms of moving forward on the findings and already starting to prepare at the next survey. And also I think there were 3 reports that still needs to be done on the informal economy that we're also going to look at. PS, before I conclude, just to specifically express appreciation to the ILO lead technical person, Maria Payet, over there, in terms of the effort to get the data not only for Eswatini but for SADC as a region. So thank you very much and look forward to continue the collaboration and partnership.
Thank you very much, Director. That's what we actually wanted to hear, the continued collaboration. Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for being here and for this great work. Statistics, is there lunch for this meeting? Where? In the restaurant up there. Okay. Actually, this marks to the end of the meeting, and we want to call upon our very own chairperson of the Senate Portfolio Committee for Labor and Social Security, Magestugi Motsa, to come and give us a vote of thanks. And when she steps down, we will have the Commissioner of Labor coming in to pray for us. He will also thank God for the food. And then from me, Ernest Melane, I'll then say bye for the day. Thank you so much.
Sanbonani. Ngiyabonga Program Director kunginiketa leli thuba. Angeke ngethule speech. But njena ukubonga kwecala Program Director lolibambe kahle loluhlelo. Libe smooth wangabi stiff. Though this was an official nang but ke uhambe kahle nje. Wonke umuntu bekativa akhululekile. Sibonge nalama debates labe khona, the questions. Ayas enricher and ayasifundisa lokunye. Sipenze sibonge ngamunye lo fake isandla ekuthenini lama survey lawa abe imphumelelo. Siyathemba lokuthi atali sita live ukuthi lati kokuthi uma liplana libhekanga kuphi. Singasuseli nje enhloko kokuthi siyacabanga ukuthi kuhamba kanjena ngoba ngaphandle kwetinombolo noma ama statistics vele umgwaqo noma ke asingeke sikhone ukuthi singasebenta. Ngibekise njena for a very long time bekude i-data on persons with disabilities, but CSO wagcina abonile ukuthi kufanele futhi kulungile nga-2017 ukuthi ifakwe loyo mbuzo letawukhuluma nge-disability and persons with albinism. Lokho kwalisita kakhulu live ngoba lasese liyakhona ukuthi uma liplana selitawuplana libheke ngakuphi, especially ngetindzaba te-albinism nete-disability. So nje ngizama highlighter bumqoka bema-statistics. Siyabonga kakhulu isikhathi senu nekutinikela kwenu. Kulesinye isikhathi indlu icala egcwele kuthi mase kuyovalwa ukhanze sekunebamfula balishumi kuphela. Siyabonga ukutinikela kwenu nekusinika isikhathi senu. Kunengi lingabe nikwendile kodwa netile nato sisingatha la si-Ministry of Labour. Siyacela ke ukuthi uNkulunkulu aniphephise nisahamba nisaya etindzaweni tenu. Inkosi isibusise.